Hey guys, Claire here. Now earlier on Saturday morning I uploaded a video as I always do, and within an hour and a half the video was taken down by YouTube. In that video we talked about Prince Andrew and specifically the differences in how the palace has reacted to the Duke of York situation versus the Sussex situation. And it included video clips of news commentators going into detail about that latest list and that information pertaining to the Duke of York. Also included screenshots of articles. I gave my personal commentary and also peppered in some commentary from different folks on social media. Just a very detailed video of that situation, and apparently it violated guidelines. So for those of you who haven't seen it, I am sorry. I can't repost it. For those of you who have, well, you have. We'll try this again and see if it will be good. The Daily Mail continues to obsess over the cost of Meghan's wardrobe, going so far as to overvalue the cost of what Meghan wears while grossly undervaluing the cost of Kate's taxpayer-funded wardrobe. Will there ever be a day when the Daily Mail will stop propping up Kate by putting Meghan down? Highly doubtful. Meanwhile, the Clever Brands is officially in Target, which is a huge deal for the startup whose first investor was, of course, Duchess Meghan. Meanwhile, Prince Harry's Spare remains in the headlines for its massive success. Officially named the top-selling book of 2023 here and in the UK as well. And even though this fact has been verified over and over again, there are royalists who refuse to accept that. And I can't begin to tell you how many royalists come into my comment sections with like crazy conspiracy theories and tabloid narratives, even though I always try to include screenshots of the things that I say just so you can go back and verify it all for yourself. But, you really can't help people who have been conditioned to hate. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, then you've heard about the Epstein list. Now, while I feel like those across the pond are trying to downplay Prince Andrew's name in this entire scandal, this information has made global headlines.
More embarrassment for the royal family, but nothing in these documents that hadn't already been alleged that wasn't really out there.
No, but they are significant because this is the first time, although some of the witnesses might have given interviews to the press and things, this is the first time we've seen in black and white their testimony, their sworn testimony. We knew the release of the documents would be difficult for him, and they are uncomfortable reading. Remember, he settled a civil case with her early in 2022, ended up paying millions of pounds. Very much spared from the showdown and the embarrassment of a trial, but it didn't save him in terms of his royal role. He was stripped by the late Queen of all his royal patronages, his military titles as well. And I think what this shows is this remains a constant source of embarrassment for him and the royal family, fresh embarrassment. We last saw him on Christmas Day at Sandringham looking pretty cheerful, I think with Fergie at his side, hoping to mask the fact that this was coming in the new year. And it just acts, I think, as a reminder that we might see him in those very private moments within the family. But I think privately, his royal role is very much as an outcast. He is highly unlikely to ever return to any duties. And this latest kind of batch of documents serves as another reminder of that.
Scotland Yard, despite the very serious allegations made against him, have refused to investigate this case for reasons that bewilder me.
I cannot get over how the royal family has been handling this. And not just now, not just in like recent history, but over like the past 2 decades, okay? This has been a thing. And knowing how much the royal family, all the secrets they have in their closet, all the skeletons they have in their closet, people knew about this. To the point where the last thing that the Queen did before she exited this earthly plane and descended straight into hell is pay off the civil suit to the tune of $12 million. Okay? This is one of her last acts as Queen. There is no coming back from any of this, one would think. And who can forget this dumpster fire of an interview, which the British public seems to have just very quietly swept under the rug? This was a disaster. But no, as recently as a couple of weeks ago, there he is, surrounded by the king, the queen, the future king and queen, And yet all the British media can talk about is Harry and Meghan, Harry and Meghan. Look at these. Look at how many articles there are just every single day about Harry and Meghan. I'm at the point now where I do not want to hear another peep out of the British press about Harry and Meghan. It is such an obvious ploy to distract the gullible British public with culture war bullshit and how much Meghan's shoes cost and, oh, she's a D-list actress, instead of focusing on what actually matters, which is the festering swamp. I just don't understand how people don't recognize this. Like, make it make sense.
What's happening, people? I had to come on and talk about this, yeah? So if you haven't seen already, client list has been revealed. And guess who's all over it? But the so-called king, his brother, Charles, decided to allow him back into the royal family, didn't he? Even though the #1 hate campaign about the royals is to do with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, because they decided to up and leave the shitstorm of a family, yeah, and do their own thing in another country, but yet they're always in the headline news. Like, it just don't make sense. Like, even all the monarchy fans hate Meghan and Harry. For me personally, I say abolish the royal family, yeah. Why do we actually need them, you know? They're all corrupt. God knows what else goes on. And people are happy with this in this country. Come on, man.
As the public discourse rises, the palace chooses to respond by saying that Andrew is no longer a working royal, and as such, Buckingham Palace does not comment on his behalf, which is interesting because Buckingham Palace had the most to say about Harry and Meghan. Charles, much like Queen Elizabeth, continues to let him remain this grand royal estate that he can no longer afford, ensuring that he has security, ensures that he gets to accompany them to church.
And you do have to question the wisdom as to why they did it. And if one is going to be charitable, you can imagine a conversation, can't you, between two brothers, the king and his brother, where the brother keeps insisting, as you have said quite rightly, that he insists he has done nothing wrong. He has settled his case back in 2022. So why can't he walk with the family? But they must have known, and they will have known, that this was coming down the track. And so that now they are paying the price, because there was an alternative. In past years, he has gone to an earlier church service just with his brother when the public weren't there.
What do you think will happen next, Peter?
Well, I think fundamentally he has repeatedly made attempts to try and resume his public life. Remember, from his perspective, he thought this was all settled with his settlement. He pays an undisclosed sum, thought to be millions of pounds, to end that civil case. There was no liability. He's always strongly denied the allegations. And from that point, he clearly has hoped that he could map a way back to doing something with the royals. I have to say, as things stand this morning, I suspect there's more prospect of me being a world figure skating champion. And I should stress that anytime I go on the ice, I end up on my backside, so have not gone on the rink for many decades.
And it's not just Charles, because William and Kate are no better. Never forget that William happily had Andrew front and center on their way to Queen Elizabeth right after she passed. William and Kate are right along supporting him. There was also an article saying that William and Kate would prefer to be neighbors with Andrew than Harry and Meghan. When it comes to comments from royal commentators, we have to be mindful and careful not to take everything that they say as a fact. But the person who said that is Jenny Bond, and she's been a royal correspondent for years for BBC, and a lot of other things that William and Kate have done. It would not be a stretch to imagine that they genuinely feel that way. We have not seen them look uncomfortable or angry around Andrew. They seem at ease, which is a direct contrast to their body language and the way they talk about and the things that they leak concerning Harry and Meghan. So it would not be a stretch to imagine that they would prefer to have Andrew as a neighbor than Harry and Meghan. Also, never forget, Kate was the one who had that information leaked, that walking besides Harry and Meghan for that walkabout in the time of mourning for Queen Elizabeth was one of the hardest things that she had to do. So, again, it's not a stretch, right?
You say, why has Harry ended up with such a kicking from the media? The idea that it's his own fault for refusing to dance to the media's tune, for writing his own books, for putting his own side of the story. And you say, well, he gives all these interviews. Andrew gave an interview to Emily Maitlis in which his entire Life was sort of falling about his feet by the end of it, and he stood up and walked away thinking he'd played a blind. I mean, it just doesn't hold. It is, of all the subjects we cover together on the radio, the one that I think most illustrates the subtle ways in which the media infects the way we think is this one. Because so many people who would ordinarily know much better and have quite a clear line on things are absolutely persuaded that Harry and Meghan are the wrong uns. And that the royal family as it is, or Kate and William, or even Andrew Windsor, that they're the good guys. It's extraordinary, and it hasn't happened by accident. It is the best example, with the possible exception of Brexit, it is the best example of media gaslighting that I have witnessed in my life. And speaking of Brexit, find me someone that hates Harry and Meghan, but can't really tell you why, except something, loyalty something. And I'll find you someone that voted for Brexit.
Together. And do you know what the worst thing is? Is that supporters of the royal family will see this and still think that Meghan Markle is the biggest problem regarding the royal family. She's not. Honestly, abolish the whole thing and may the victims find peace.
Am I surprised that both Charles and William have shown a tendency to surround themselves with questionable folk? No, especially with Charles. This is not anything new. Savile, the bitter priest, his favorite uncle, Lord Mountbatten. And, I mean, the press doesn't talk about this, but William, a lot of the backers for his Earthshot prize are also linked to the scandal and other scandals as well. Are we ever going to hear the UK press talking about this? No, there's the invisible contract. But it's all there. You just have to look. The bad behavior of the Windsors and the people within their sphere is constantly ignored, while new stories are created about Harry and Meghan in order to distract. So yeah, rotten to the core. The UK royals have a serious PR crisis on their hands, and only time will tell if 2024 will be a good year for the House of Windsor. So far, it's not looking that good.
Hi, right-wing media. Great to see you covering the Epstein disclosure. Of course, in reality, there's nothing new in there, is there? We all knew those names before. There's been no great revelations. But what I find fascinating about it was how you covered the Prince Andrew angle and how it's downplayed. Yet, every day there are articles about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, articles that don't actually exist. There is no story, but they keep drip feeding articles so people dislike them. But there's nothing to actually dislike. They're not doing anything at the moment. They're literally just living their lives away from the public eye. You are the ones with made up stories putting them back in the public eye. Whereas Prince Andrew, where there is quite a big story, seems to just sort of go as a little paragraph. Isn't that interesting? It's like, I don't know, it's like you're controlling the narrative. Okay, as you were.
What in the world does Prince Andrew have on Charles and the rest of the royal family? And this is not me in any way trying to absolve Charles from taking accountability for his actions, or any member of the royal family really who have been photographed out and about with Prince Andrew. However, we know that Charles takes the public perception of himself in the media very seriously. Charles's need to rehab not only his own image, but Camilla meant that he was willing to throw anybody under the bus. So much so that the Queen ended up having to get involved in the early 2000s. All this to say, why would an incredibly image-focused man like Charles be willing to try and rehab Andrew, to have famously never really gotten along that well? To say Andrew is family is one thing, but having him do very public royal engagements is, I can't wrap my head around it. I'm interested in hearing your guys' thoughts. I know this is an incredibly sensitive subject and it's ongoing. Andrew is really unpopular. Why keep him around?
People often ask me on here why I'm anti-royal family. Well, one day I'll do a TikTok on it. But in the meantime, I'm going to do something on the Epstein client list. And look who's on it. He invited them both to Windsor Castle and Sandringham Estate. I mean, there's photographic evidence. Prince Andrew said that he didn't know about their depraved behaviour, and once he did find out, he did what any self-respecting person would do, and he travelled across the Atlantic, found somewhere very convenient to stay, which happened to be Epstein's apartment, but in which he stayed for 4 days, in order to break up his relationship with Epstein. Now, obviously, it's possible to not know what your friends are up to, but once you do know...
Es impresionante donde la prensa británica atacó tanto un ensañamiento brutal contra Meghan Markle. La princesa Meghan Markle está destruyendo la familia real. Príncipe Andrew, no. Es impresionante. Ella, por solo no ser blanca, es tan criticada, tan criticada. Es tan racista la prensa empresarial que ser una princesa no blanca es peor que ser un príncipe pedófilo.
Exacto.
Esos son los valores de la prensa empresarial que existen en todas partes del mundo, que acá en este programa nos dedicamos tanto a criticar a periodistas como Daniel Matamala, como a la Mónica Rincón, justamente porque la prensa empresarial que se cree progresista tiene fuertes contradicciones donde defienden a los dueños de la prensa. Bueno, acá tenemos un ejemplo que es interesante de cómo la prensa empresarial funciona en el mundo, porque es peor ser una princesa negra que ser un príncipe pedófilo.
Harry and Meghan are failing. They had a terrible year. You're just gonna keep repeating that until it's true, aren't you? Maybe, but we're definitely right this time. If you say so. Yeah, donations are down at their charity. By about the same percent as Will and Kate's. Are they failing? No, that's different. No, it's not. We're basically in a recession. Charitable donations are down across the board. That's too much math. What about the Spotify deal? Their 3-year contract came to an end. That's just how time works. But they didn't get paid the full amount. Oh, Shug. No one gets paid the full amount. Besides, they've been trying to get out of that contract for 1.5 years. Yeah, because they knew they were failing. No, because of the elephant in the room anytime anybody talks about Spotify. What? Oh, what about Netflix? They haven't produced much. What the hell are you talking about? In 3 years, they made 4 series and have 2 more in pre-production. That's really good. Huh. Only 3 of those aired and 2 didn't do very well. Netflix did that for a tax write-off and intentionally tanked a bunch of series that came out during strike seasons because they didn't want to look like they were making money. We have to wait a really long time for that new stuff. I think you'd want to see them doing okay because it kind of proves how they're all like irrelevant to that monarchy system or whatever, and then you can go back to focusing on the real royals like you say you want to. They don't sell as well. Right, and you can't actually write the same negative articles that drive engagement about them, can you? Because your relationship with them and their officers is built on positive press in exchange for what? Private parties and one-on-one access, right? So you're kind of stuck writing like boring, positive fluff pieces, huh? But they make us so much money.
The amount of people leaving this comment and the amount of British feathers I ruffled because I'm an American with an opinion is hilarious. And I'm about to ruffle some more feathers. I hate to break it to you all, but Meghan isn't the only actress in the royal family. They literally all are. As a million of you have reminded me, there's something called protocol. They have to suppress their emotions. They have to act a certain way. They have to say certain things. They have to do certain things. They have to carry themselves in a certain way. They can't do this. They can't do that. Every single time they walk out that door, they have to slap on a brave face, whether they're tired or not, whether they're happy or not, whether they want to be there or not. They have to put on a smiley, brave face and just act like everything's lottie frickin' da, even when it might not be for them. Sure, they may not be acting in Hallmark movies, but they still have to put on an act every single time they walk out that door. In fact, they are expected to act a certain way every time they walk out that door. So tell me a huge part of their job isn't being an actor, because that's exactly what it is.
10 things about the British royal family that we don't need to bring into 2024. This gown. Burn it. The Princess of Wales dressing like her deceased mother-in-law. British people in my comments saying American as if it is a derogatory word. You Americans. Who has a bigger army? Martin Branning, Dan Wooten, Piers who never be the man his mother is, Morgan. The obsession with Harry and Meghan. And to clarify the obsession, it's the people who take Harry and Meghan's photos, videos, whatever thing that they do, and decide to turn it and twist it into something negative. I mean, how do you wake up still in 2024 and say, I'm just not going to like these two today and I want the whole world to know it? How do you have more articles about 2 members who have not been working for the royal family since, what, 2020. More so than the members that actually do work for the royal family and take public funds. Make that make sense. The obsession with their children. These are private citizens. They don't have to show you their children. They are not George, Charlotte, or Louis. The children are not owned by the public. Putting this one down in order to lift this one up, especially by saying that she's going to be a future queen, in which nobody actually really cares about that. Let's not bring that into 2024. The fact is, we can all look at both of their resumes before they got into the royal family and during, and I move on. This should have been left in 1996. Let's leave that in 2023. Let's not bring this in 2024. And finally, royal sources. Listen, if it's not directly coming from their mouths, why? That's hearsay. I wish I would be a grown individual that has to feed what I want to say to other people. Honorable mention. All right, you got... This has to be the stupidest term to call somebody to think it's derogatory, but let's maybe come up with something different. Peace talks. Stop trying to make peace happen. I think we're beyond the scope of peace. Probably. Kate dressing alike or similar to that of the Duchess of Sussex. Let's not bring that into 2024. Let's find our own style, right? That includes the Aquazura Hills too. The people who have private profiles, no photos of themselves, but yet have so much to say on this internet. You're a coward. Leave your cowardness in 2023. Let's see who you are. And lastly, horribly edited photos. Why is Louis missing a finger? How did nobody catch this?
I thought I would respond to this comment. I get this comment quite a bit. So there are three sides to this: royal family, Harry, Meghan, and the truth. And you'll reserve your judgment. Right. I've prepared this. We have the royal family, Meghan and Harry, and the truth. They're the three things you talked about. Let's add one more. Now it's a bit more interactive. So royal family talks to the media, tells them this is what I want you to tell the world. This is what we're doing today, tomorrow, next year, whatever. This is our story. That was nice to Harry and Meghan to start with, but then it turned. And basically, the royal family is telling stories to the media about these guys, and it's negative. Everything is bad. The truth is what I've heard from Harry and Meghan, from their own mouths, from them talking to us. You see, these two are partners. They're working together against Harry and Meghan. With regards to judgment, you can do you. I prefer not to judge Harry and Meghan based on what the media tell me, but what they tell me with their own words, their own mouths, their documentary. Thank you.
You guys, the last season of The Crown did Harry so dirty. As a millennial who is around the age of Harry, I am between Harry and William. I know that in the early aughts, the girlies went feral for this ginger heartthrob. And the man that they cast, I think his name is Luther Ford, while probably attractive in other situations, like totally hunky here, he looks terrible as Harry. It's the hair, it's the gel, it's the way they're trying to make him look younger. Like even the young Harry looks nothing like Harry. Like as he gets older, you can totally see that he turned into a hunk. Even when he was young, he carried himself like his mother. Like he had such an athletic presence about him and confidence. And this representation of him is just like a very smarmy, like not hot character. And also they did William dirty in the young William too. Just looks nothing like it. I would argue that the older William is more attractive, the actor, than the real William. Both are good looking. And that's the trend of most of the show. Like the Camilla actresses are beautiful and the young Camilla as well. Diana, I think, are similar because in real life, I think Diana had like a really confident presence about her, but the actress playing her is beautiful. The young Diana was very beautiful. Philip, I think it's a draw. We all know that Prince Charles, he totally won the crown. He gets the best looking actors on all of the show. The Margaret actresses have been so beautiful. See the younger one here. Again, Elizabeth gets the luck of the draw here. Beautiful actresses portraying her. And Kate, again, the actress is probably a little bit better looking than the real Kate, even though both have a beautiful presence.
About the scapegoat and golden child dynamic with Harry and William, which see the children don't unite because they're stronger together. It creates animosity between them. It assimilates the golden child in. They become more loyal to the power structure that actually abused him and the scapegoat. And the cycle continues. And the thing that we see with scapegoats is that although they go through worse in terms of feeling second best, being blamed for things, In some ways, they're more lucky because they're the ones that often get out. Priority in an abusive family is the reputation of the family. So they will disguise any abuse that happens. They will minimize any abuse that happens. So often the person that's most abused, the scapegoat, when they talk about this, the family will come together and they will say, no, our family's fine. There's a problem with them. And well, you know, we should pity Harry really for doing all this because he's obviously very traumatized. You know, he's probably mad and unstable. Remember, they tried to do that with Diana. No, he's not mad and unstable. Sometimes in psychological abuse or coercive control, violence will come out as a threat, and it's when somebody snaps because they can't control you anymore. And it's very difficult for these victims to come forward because they're not being routinely hit. They're not being routinely beaten up. But the fact that it happens sometimes and that the rage is there works as intimidation, because that person is then always thinking, even if it's only happened a few times, that person is always sitting there thinking, how can I stop that happening again? Which is psychological abuse. It's not constant violence, it's occasional violence. Abusers are very threatened by people who can advocate for themselves. And more than that, if Harry's being abused in this system, then they are going to want him alienated from somebody who will advocate for him and somebody who has his back. That's part of the process. That's why he went when Meghan was not there. That is why he also did not want Meghan told about this, because that is what abusers do. And again, what abusers do is they project. So they put out this story that, oh, Meghan's a bully. Meghan is bullying people. That's part of the abuse. That's part of trying to alienate Harry from his support network. That's trying to make him be quiet and to toe the line. We will destroy her. We have the power to twist the narrative. So don't you dare come forward and say anything.
One is about Kate Middleton and one is about Meghan Markle, to use their maiden names. Not long to go, pregnant Kate tenderly cradles her baby bump while wrapping up her royal duties ahead of maternity leave, and William confirms she's due any minute now. So that's the Mail talking about Kate Middleton's baby bump during her pregnancy. Why can't Meghan Markle keep her hands off her bump? Experts tackle the question that has got the nation talking. Is it pride, vanity, acting, or a new age bonding technique? So there are two women doing exactly the same thing. They are cradling their baby bump. Okay? Two women doing two pregnant women in the royal family doing two pregnant women, both married to princes, doing exactly the same thing. In exactly the same newspaper. One of them is tenderly cradling her baby bump, and one of them is posing the question that has got the nation talking. Is it pride, vanity, acting, or a new age bonding technique? And that's why the arguments, well, they shouldn't give so many interviews, or we shouldn't write books, or they shouldn't sign deals with Netflix, is so, forgive me, pathetic. The same story, two women from the same family doing the same thing, being reported in the same newspaper.